This is the Tuesday, April 26, 2016 meeting of the Hanson Board of Selectmen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Public announcements and upcoming meetings. This is the last weekend to burn. Open burning season ends on Saturday, April 30th. Permits are available at the fire headquarters, 505 Liberty Street, daily from 9 to 5. Cost of a permit is $20, payable by check or money order, made out to the town of Hanson. No cash will be accepted. The Hanson Police will be taking part in the DEA's National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day on Saturday, April 30th at the Hanson Police Department. You can turn in your unwanted, unneeded, and expired medications from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Sharps, needles, liquids, and inhalers cannot be accepted. The Town of Hanson 2016 street listing books are now available for purchase for $10 in the town clerk's office. Hanson Historical Society will host its annual turkey dinner on Thursday, May 5th, 2016, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Camp Kewanee. This year's speaker will be Christopher Daly, who will discuss the haunted history of New England. Tickets are $15 and can be obtained by calling 781-294-8645. And if you've ever been there, you'll find that that's the event of the year that you want to go to. I don't think I've missed that in the last 25 or 30 years. Okay, upcoming meetings. Final Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee meets Wednesday, April 27th, at 4 p.m. at the police station. The Board of Selectmen meets Monday, May 2nd, at 7 p.m. at the Hanson Middle School. That's the town meeting. The town meeting is Monday, May 2nd, at 7:30 p.m. at the middle school. Board of Selectmen, if necessary, Tuesday, May 3rd, 7 p.m. at the middle school. Town meeting Tuesday, May 3rd, if necessary, 7:30 p.m. at the middle school. Final Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee, Wednesday, May 4th, 4 p.m. at the police station. Board of Selectmen Tuesday, May 17th at 7 p.m. And Board of Selectmen on Tuesday, May 24th at 7 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, we also have another announcement from Whitman Hanson Dollars for Scholars will be holding their Spring Electronic Recycling Day at McQuon School on Saturday, May 7th from 9 to 1 p.m.
Okay. Before we go to our next item, I'd like to introduce to all of you, and I hope you have a chance to meet him before the night's over, and wish him the best. Our new town administrator, Mr. Michael McHugh, who is just taking a seat over there, he will begin on May 9th, and I'm sure everybody wishes Mike the best in his transition from the town of Rochester to the seat, corner seat here on the Board of Selectmen as the town administrator, our new town administrator. He'll be beginning on May 9th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for the late entrance, little traffic on 495 getting in. I'll learn my way.
Okay. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing our fire chief, Jerry Thompson, who will talk about swearing in of our new firefighters, Sherilyn Mullen and Robert Heffernan. Jerry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. I want to start off by thanking you for having us here tonight and having Ms. Sloan here to swear in our newest members. It seems like this is happening every other week between us and the police department, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Although it's difficult to see some of our older members retire, that have all that experience. This is an exciting time for our department. As you're aware, because I keep telling you, we have 7 newer members, and so tonight we're swearing in number 3 and 4 out of 7. Great additions to our department. In order for them to get to tonight, there's a couple of things they have to accomplish, and that is successfully completing the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy Recruit Training Program and their 1-year probation. And both of them completed their probationary period about 2 weeks ago. So, does the board have any questions?
No.
Well, I'll have Firefighter Mullen come up first. We'll go by seniority. Firefighter Mullen grew up in Abington. She graduated in 2006. She's been in the field of EMS for 8 years, and she graduated from the Mass Fire Academy Class 233 in October. And if I could have Ms. Sloan come up and swear in.
Cheryl, I need you to raise your right hand. Do you, Cheryl, solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a firefighter to the best of your abilities in accordance with the bylaws of the town and the laws of the Commonwealth? Congratulations.
Firefighter Mullen's going to have her badge pinned on her by her grandmother, Nancy. Don't stab.
Everybody says that. You'll do well. Nice job.
And now we'll have Firefighter Heffernan come up. Firefighter Heffernan grew up in Middleborough. He graduated from Bristol Plymouth RVT in 2008, and he's been in the EMS field for 6 years. And he graduated from class number 230 in July. So, Ms. Sloan.
Robert, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you, Robert Heffernan, solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as firefighter to the best of your abilities in accordance of the bylaws of the town and the laws of the Commonwealth?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, Bob.
And Firefighter Heffernan's going to have his badge pinned on by his mother, Kelly.
Nice job.
Once again, I want to thank you for having us here tonight. It's an exciting time for our department with all our new members and members that we swore on tonight are great additions. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Okay.
Did you come from Rochester?
No, I went home first. I came from Mansfield. So I came up 495, I got off at 104, and then 495 from Mansfield to 104.
All right.
Of course, and it's never traffic there, Kevin.
None unless you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, before we move on to old business, we need to vote to authorize our executive assistant, Mary Marini, to sign bills, payroll, and purchase orders in the transitional period until our new town administrator officially takes office on May 9th. So I need a motion to that effect.
Motion to authorize Executive Assistant Mary Marine to sign bills, payroll, and purchase orders.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Thank you. Okay. Now it's time to start the town meeting preview. Where do we want to begin, with the special town meeting
It's
on that?
special, we'll start right from the very beginning of the book.
Okay. All right, so what we'll do here is, we'll start with Article 1, and we'll have the,
I'll read Dawn's, since Dawn's not
want to
here.
read Don's?
Yeah.
Just do the article, Bruce, and not the explanation?
We're
Unless
going to do the
somebody,
explanation too, right?
We don't have to unless somebody has a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna speed things up. Article 1, I move the town will vote to transfer $55 from free cash to pay unpaid bills for fiscal year 2015.
Yes. Want me to just go right into it, Mary, or are we
Sure,
talking? Okay. I move the town, Article 2, I move the town will vote to transfer $137,450 from free cash to supplement appropriations previously voted at the annual town meeting of May 2015 for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2015, for various town departments as printed in the warrant.
Now, here are the various things that, this is the supplemental budget to add money to various lines, and what we'll do, Sean, we'll go item by item and let, just similar as we, just like we do for the budget, correct. So if anybody has any questions, we can go over this real quick. The very first item is to purchase a vehicle for town hall departments for $30,000. Next one is treasure collector, $2,000 for envelopes and office supplies. Item number 3 is information technologies. That is for the $15,000 of that is, we had to upgrade our firewalls, antivirus and anti-spam. We're having a lot of problems with our emails. So that was corrected over the course of the year, and then an additional, what's the additional?
2,800.
2,800 for the iPads for the Board of Selectmen. The town clerk's office is 1,500 for salaries. The police department is 48,000 for radios. Highway expense for various vehicle repairs. $25,000 for new gas pumps, so they're now upgraded so that they are in compliance with the Vapor Recovery Act. $150 for mileage for the veterans agent, and $3,000 for the library expenses. That's for snow removal. We have a company who comes in and shovels, and in the past, we were putting that money under snow and ice budget, but the town accountant, frowned on that and suggested that it is a cost for maintenance of the property, and it should be correctly reflected in their budget. So that's why we've added it. And for next year, they've corrected it, and it should be in the budget for next year. Okay?
Okay, great.
Will somebody be making an explanation like that before I go through line by line? I mean, it might be useful.
Oh, I'm sure you can handle that, right?
I mean, it doesn't need to be anything in depth, but just maybe a more in-depth explanation than what's printed in the warrant.
So Mary,
We
what
have a
you
pretty,
just said,
we have a
think if
pretty
somebody-
complete explanation for the car, I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I don't want to take up a ton of time.
yeah,
It might solve some problems.
right.
Mr. Chairman, I think if somebody holds something, then we can explain it. I don't think you need to go through and explain everything on there.
Yeah,
If somebody holds it.
Because you
then
go through each line you do
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
budget,
No, I'll-
somebody,
Some of the stuff
If
is
anybody has a
obvious.
question, they can.
Okay.
that's good.
Bill, you're up.
Article 3,
Article number 3, I move that the town will vote to transfer $25,564 from free cash for repairs to the McQuon Elementary and Hanson Middle School.
Article 4, I move the town will vote to transfer $25,000 from free cash to be added to stabilization.
Article 5, I move to transfer a sum of $10,000 from free cash to be added to the Regional School Capital Stabilization Fund as established by the October 2014 special town meeting.
Article 6, I move the town vote to transfer $3,000 from free cash for the purpose of expanding planning board subdivision plans, approval not required plans, as-built plans, and easement descriptions into electronic format.
Will you be making the motion?
No, Donald Ellis will.
Done.
Article 7, I move the town vote to transfer $10,000 for free cash for the grading and maintenance of private ways and directional highways.
Sharon gave me
Article 8.
Thank you.
I move the town vote to transfer from water surplus $20,000 to be added to the funds appropriated under Article 16 of the May 4th, 2015 special town meeting to continue rehabilitation work at the Crystal Spring well site. Is there anybody from water here? Oh, okay.
Okay. You can do the next one.
Just in case somebody had any questions, Gil, I don't mind reading his articles, but I don't want to answer questions.
Yeah, you can do Article 9, Gil.
I move the town will vote to transfer $100,000 from water surplus to pay for water purchase from the city of Brockton.
Article 10, I move the town will vote to accept the donation of land located on Hancock Street known as Assessors Map 2, Lot 764 for general municipal purposes.
Two-thirds.
Article 11, I move the town will vote to amend the wage and personnel bylaws, Article 2-12, classification and compensation by deleting sections 11A through 11E in its entirety and inserting the new sections 11A through 11E as printed in the warrant.
Yes.
I just wondered, I see that we're adding a recreation director, which I'm totally in favor of, but I'm just wondering, will the admin still be there? I just don't see any explanation, and I know that there's gonna be a lot of questions around it. You know, like, what are their responsibilities gonna be? Are we still gonna have an admin? Is the town funding it? Is it gonna be funded? Like, I
Yeah,
just
we'll
think.
have all that.
Yeah, okay.
There's a whole job description for that.
Oh, okay.
You just got to make sure that,
That will be
right.
presented to people at town meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
Just say a few words, just the nature of this article. This is one that we get tripped up
Oh,
on
yeah.
every single time. That it's a range that's being set into the bylaws so that
Do you want me to,
somebody can get hired. It's not expending it.
do you want me to just read the highlighted items, like the town planner, conservation agent,
You
recreation?
could explain why they're highlighted, but I would just overall say, this is something that we do every year. It doesn't expend any money.
I can write something up for you, Jim. It's a housekeeping article, which we do generally in
Thank you,
the
Mary.
highlights.
Who's up?
To Article 12.
Article 12, I move the town will vote to amend the wage and personnel bylaws, Article 2-12, classification and compensation, Section 7A, by deleting the second sentence and inserting in its place the following.
Should we
And
read
I think
that?
you probably ought to read that.
I probably ought to
as
read
part of it.
Annual increases are not automatic, but based on evaluation of employees' ability and work performance. Employees in Section 11A and Section 11B shall be evaluated by the town administrator. Employees in Section 11C, 11D, and 11E shall be evaluated by the relevant department head and reviewed by the town administrator.
That's it, right?
That covers the special?
Very briefly, Bill, could you just say what 11C and 11D and 11E are? I can guess, but is police, fire, and highway, is that?
They refer back to that chart, right? But yeah, it would be helpful, like part-time season.
Yeah, just.
The positions, yeah, the positions.
It's you're right.
Yeah, that's,
It refers back to the chart that we voted in the previous article under that section.
Okay.
It's the page right before the article.
Okay.
So
Moving
I
on
can,
to the annual.
There, you write something up for you, Bill.
Article 1. Thank you.
I move the town vote to hear any reports of the various officers, committees, and special committees. The annual, except for the annual town report.
Article 2.
Article 2, I move the town vote to authorize the treasurer collector to enter into compensating balance agreements during fiscal year 2017 as permitted by Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F.
Okay. Article 3, I move that the town vote to transfer $20,000 from overlay surplus for the treasurer collector's tax title account. This money will be used to cover the costs incurred for filing and advertising properties with delinquent taxes, and also to pay any legal fees resulting from this process. Article 3.
Article 4, I move the town vote to fix the salary and compensation of all paid elected officers and committees of the town as printed in the warrant.
Article 5, I move the town vote to determine what sums of money the town will raise and appropriate by taxation, transfer from free cash, transfer from town ambulance fund, water department revenue, water surplus, Title V special revenue fund, MWPAT loan repayment, receipts reserved for appropriation, conservation notice of intent fund, overlay surplus, fund balance, reserved for reduction of future excluded debt, and election fund 503 Acts of 1983 to defray charges and expenses of the town, including debt and interest, and to provide for a reserve fund for 2017 fiscal year.
Article 5 is the budget article.
And the budget's in everyone's packet there. And I think it's green, if you picked up the green. And I believe the recommendations of the Finance Committee are all the same as the Board of Selectmen's recommendations, with the exception of, where's Mike?
With the exception of what?
I was looking for Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you are, okay. The engineering line, right? The FinCom zeroed out the engineering line and added
Which one?
31, the engineering line is...
Line 61,
I used to know these by
Yeah, exactly.
it's okay.
What we did with that, we basically added 4 hours to the assessor's office. Someone there, I believe, is, 32 hours, bumping up to 4.
The position was 35 hours, it got cut back in 2011. We keep coming back year after year to have it restored, so they're offering, we asked for 8, but they were offering 4.
And I just want to point out that even though they funded the line, it's not necessarily, it's a bargainable issue. So it's something that has to be taken up with the Board of Selectmen because it is a union position.
But the money would be there if the contract.
The
right.
position was 35 hours. The position is, but it got cut back when we were doing cut.
But it's still something we have to talk to the Selectmen about. Since it's a union position that was bargained, reduced, it would have to be bargained to increase the...
I don't think it was bargained to be reduced, I think it was just reduced.
During one of the contract negotiations?
No?
No, that was
Town
when
meeting,
we lost everybody.
Okay, all right. We'll have to run it by Labor Council. I just want to make sure that it's not covered by that. Okay. So in any event, no, I can't find it. The engineering line has been, it's line 61. That's been zeroed out.
So I believe what happened is we took 5,000 out of there, they funded 4 hours additionally, and then the remaining 3,000, I believe we put in the reserve fund. Correct. So if there was any engineering issues, that you can come for a reserve fund transfer.
Oh, I see, okay.
Because the engineering line, if you've looked historically, I think $1,400 has been spent in the last 2 or 3 years, so it's not getting utilized. We've actually had some opportunities to kind of use that line, and we haven't. So there's no use to having it if we're not going to use it.
All right, so if we have an emergency situation where we need engineering, then we'll just come...
Yeah, you'll take it out of reserve fund, like anything else.
Yeah, because nothing was spent in 15, right?
Right,
15.
right.
We just have to get in line early. All right.
Do the selectmen anticipate holding any other lines?
Don't,
I'm just bringing it to their attention. They might not even hold this. They may be fine with that, but I just.
Right, I just mean
Well,
out of the rest of the budget, is there anything
what was
else?
let me see, I think I had a question here.
Mary, did we say that there was more than one? That we were not in sync with?
I think that, Mike, is that all were those the only changes we made?
Steve?
Everything else is on.
That was it, right?
Yeah, I think that's the only one, right?
Right.
Oh, what was the reason for the cut in,
Because they
at
added it.
the
They added
transfer
money.
station? The reduction
So,
in
the
expenses?
reason why that cut was, and we actually met with the Board of Health, is I believe it was tipping fees. So they kept the same tipping fees they had in there for 2 years.
Oh, I see.
And I believe they're gonna be well below that line. We talked to town accountant, they said, yeah, that they're not gonna hit that line. So it's not, you know, taking money away, it's
Oh, yeah,
it's expenses they're not gonna incur.
I see.
So we just, that got adjusted to make a more in-line budget for
Sure.
what we actually think is gonna happen. We talked to Todd, and Todd said that would've been fine, because the tipping fees, they don't think they're gonna hit that $191,000 or whatever the number was.
Is it wise to do this in this town meeting or wait till October?
What
If
line
you do
is
the budget, why would you do it all in the budget?
No, I just think. that-
Solid waste, line number 68.
Yep, it's okay.
No, wait a minute, that's,
Salaries and
The
expenses.
solid waste enterprise fund budget will be handled in 2 articles from here. We'll vote that as a separate article,
oh, I see.
okay? So if the Board of Health is on board with the recommendations of the
Finance.
Finance Committee, then they can move the article appropriately. If not, if they want to move what they had originally requested, then the Finance Committee will move to amend
Oh,
the
yeah.
article.
I see.
And that's the same with Recreation as well. They had some discrepancies.
Do we
with
need, do we need $1 in the engineering line in order, so there's something in the line in order to get a transfer? Can you go and get a transfer for a zero budgeted line? I don't think you can you?
Yeah, the line exists. It's not, we're not getting rid of the line. The line will remain
All right.
in the budget.
Zero's a number, right?
Mhm.
What are you thinking, Brucey? You can't?
I always thought you had to have something in the line in order to do it.
That wasn't
No.
my understanding.
Do you need something in the line?
No,
You don't? Okay. All right, town council is just straighten that one out for me. All right. Does that take care of the budget article? We're all set? Okay.
Anybody else, if I could just throw it out to
Oh, yeah.
the assembled mass here, anybody else anticipate holding a line?
Okay. Article 6. I move that the town vote to determine whether the town will appropriate and raise by taxation or transfer from available funds the additional sum of $1,241,141 for paying the town's assessed share of the fiscal 2017 operating budget for the Whitman-Hanson Regional School District, provided, however, that the amounts raised and appropriated hereunder shall be expressly contingent upon the approval by the voters at an election of the so-called Proposition 2.5 override question in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 59, Section 21C, G of the general laws proposed by the Board of Selectmen, recommended by a 5-0 vote of the Selectmen, and Finance Committee voted 4-1 to recommend. Okay. No. I don't think overrides require a 2/3 vote, just debt exclusions, right? Yeah. When you vote this article, you're actually voting, a lot of people have used the reasoning that a type of article like this is, the purpose of the article is just to move it and let the rest of the town vote on it at the ballot question, but you're actually what you're basically actually doing here is appropriating the money at town meeting. And the ballot, if it goes to the ballot question, the reason for the ballot question is to exempt those funds from the limitation of Proposition 2.5. Okay. Yes.
I know one of the things that was discussed the last time that we had town council, but I don't think it was this gentleman, I think it was Jay that was here, was that he had strongly urged us not to articulate the expenditure and how that would be spent, because in fact, although it is, of course, the district's intention to spend it in the way that it's been outlaid here, there may be things that come up and they're not actually completely committed legally to spend that money in this way. And I'm just wondering what the thought process was on articulating in this manner, when I thought I heard town council
This is
suggest
this
that
is
they-
the explanation rather than the motion.
I get
The
that,
motion
but
is what carries, not the
I
explanation.
understand that,
Well,
but
what-
people
what
are
he
still
was-
gonna read this explanation.
No, I recall that as well, and I asked Jay at the time, and he reiterated that you couldn't really do that in the ballot question, even though the DOR guidelines showed it in the ballot question. However, you could do it at the town meeting. So, to be totally transparent, that's why we're putting it in the town meeting.
I don't think the explanation binds the school district.
No, it
I
doesn't.
know
It
it
doesn't.
doesn't bind, but I am concerned, to Bruce's point of transparency, that if you're laying out an explanation, that it ought to be very thorough, and this is somewhat thorough, but not completely on point, in that it doesn't specifically say that it's the intention of the district to do this. But I'm just bringing it up as a concern, I'm not saying it's a deal killer, I just think, I'm sure Mr., I'm sure that everybody will be prepared to discuss it at town
I mean,
meeting.
I'll be happy to read article, I could read page 52 of the school budget, if you wanted me to be more thorough.
Okay, I actually thought it would probably be Bob that might be explaining more of it, that part of it.
Well, you could if you want to, yeah, sure, because, yeah.
I don't have an issue with this, Bruce. I think it reflects to the transparency, there's no question. And the district has put this forward in a budget book.
Yep.
Showing where we're going to be with it, and I will be prepared to answer any and all questions. And we'll have some other people from the school district, because we want everyone to know what the full intention is. And I understand what Laura's saying too. And I guess everybody's on the same page. There's nobody kind of not on the same page. The Board of Selectmen is, Laura is, we are. We
Yeah.
just want this to come forward.
Nobody challenges the
Yeah,
ability
so everybody knows.
of the regional
Exactly.
school district under Chapter 71 to control the bottom line. I mean, they control the bottom line. But
Exactly.
this is basically the, page 52, which was a student success budget, is basically the reason why we're having an override. It's a $3 million split between Whitman and Hanson, 1.7 for Whitman and almost 1.3 for Hanson.
Yeah.
And that was basically the reason, the intent of it, and that's why it was put in the explanation. Okay.
Just a caution, this is a school-related issue. When you're at town meeting, there can't be really any discussion about, well, I want to vote to fund 12 of these positions, but not the 5 library positions that.
Oh, yeah.
The issue is whether or not you're going to vote to override the dollar amount. It could be a lesser dollar amount, it could be the recommended dollar amount, but you can't really get into picking apart the budget in this question.
That's what, we went through that whole explanation, of course you weren't here, but that whole explanation came up a few weeks ago, and we had almost all the school committee members in here, the superintendent, and a room full of people as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make it my business to keep people on point.
Yeah, I guess I would kind of ask Sean if you would do that to just,
Make sure.
yeah, that we don't, because I could see where we could get into a lengthy debate where somebody would say, well, why do you need 3 duty aides? Why are you asking for an art teacher? And, that could turn into a lengthy discussion about that, and that discussion has already taken place at several school committee meetings, so. I'm good, I'll be there
Oh, yeah.
But
to help
yeah,
and
I'll
Those questions are-
answer any and all questions that anyone has, because
Those questions are bound to come up.
the transparency part is what we want everybody on the same page with,
Yeah.
because we are one town with Whitman as a partner, so. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on the override article? Contingency override article. Article 7.
I move the town will vote to raise and appropriate the following sums of money to operate the recreation department during fiscal year 2017 under provisions of MGL Chapter 44, Section 53, F1 half. Would you like explanation as well? Or?
I got a question for Mike. Finance Committee voted 5-0 to hold this article?
The rec and board of health, yeah, that's because of the budget change,
Okay,
because of what's coming out of taxation.
okay.
Because this got published after we made those adjustments, that's why.
Thank you.
Is there something, I'm sorry, may I speak?
Yeah.
Is there something we need to get together and discuss, or?
We certainly can, but we looked at our budget, like utility line is,
Yep.
way over budget what you are this year. Again, it's just more of what you're kind of spending. We kind of went through your 45,000 of indirect costs, and we went through each of the things. Plus you said you do have some extra money to maybe fund an additional manager, things like that. So that stuff, that's why we went kind of the other way a little bit. It's because where you're at right now, I think is 60-something% spend through April 22nd.
Yep.
So you're not gonna get to the 100% that you budgeted this year.
Right.
It looked like, so that's why we reduced it to get to a more normalized budget where we think you're actually gonna end up overall.
Okay.
But that's all it is, it's not cutting positions or anything else, it's, you budgeted, say, 100,000 last year, you're only gonna spend 80,000, why are we gonna budget 100,000 again? No, you're gonna budget the 80 that you actually think you spent.
May I bring up one other thing in here?
Oh, sure.
A couple of the numbers I don't believe are correct in regards to, we're close on the budget, the total budget, but when we put in our budget, we had $8,000 in retained earnings, I believe, that we put into it, and 270 in program receipts. And it's 0 on the FY17 is what it's showing, and 18,000 in retained earnings. So may just want to have that adjusted to reflect what it's actually doing.
We didn't touch the retained earnings.
That's what,
We wouldn't have cut.
that's what I put in, when we put in our budget. At some point, I'm not sure if it got transposed or something changed, but it's just, the total is right, it's just where they're coming from is not.
You can make that point on town
Okay.
meeting floor when you get
So
there.
instead of 278, it should be 260?
Should have been 270 from program receipts and 8,000 from retained earnings.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
you can make that point on town meeting floor and everybody can,
Dave, after you've had a chance to talk to FinCom,
yeah.
you can come up with a number, and then when you move it, we won't have to be doing any amendments.
Yeah.
Because currently, FinCom's posed to make amendments to the way it's currently written. So if you want to talk to Mike and then check with Todd,
Okay.
the accountant, we can get that straightened out, and it'll flow a lot easier if the motion is exactly the way we
Right,
want it.
sure. Okay.
So the total is right, though, right?
Yeah.
Dave? Okay.
Article number 8.
I move the town will vote to raise and appropriate the following sums of money to operate the transfer station during the fiscal year 2017 under the provisions of MGL Chapter 44, Section 53, F 1/2, as printed.
Article 9.
I move the town vote to appropriate or reserve from fiscal year 2017 Community Preservation Fund estimated annual revenues and the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for committee administrative expenses, community preservation projects, and other expenses in fiscal year 2016, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation.
Article 10.
Improvements here?
John, not here? All right, I move the town vote to adopt capital improvement program as presented by the Capital Improvement Committee. That's the pink sheet. Article 11, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $687,868 to various department capital accounts for the following items. And again, Sean will go through each one of them. Should I go through these, Mr. Chairman, or?
Yeah, sure.
Library, this is to do repairs, improvements to the library senior center. Item 2 is the fire department, replace 2 fire vehicles with a new fire vehicle. McQuon School, replace the LED lighting, the Indian Head School LED lighting, the McQuon School, remove insulation and re-insulate the piping and fittings. Right now, the Board of Selectmen is still holding number 6, which is the replacement of the McQuon School. We're still hoping to get some figures on that.
Yes, Mr. Hayes.
Earlier this evening, I spoke, Sam Moore's called from Gale, and he has 3 scenarios he's going to be bringing to us tomorrow after lunch was the description of the time frame.
Oh, good.
So we'll be able to insert that, Mary, and discuss it
Okay.
as we move forward with that. The same thing with the lighting, we can speak to that.
Sure,
if there
that's great.
becomes an issue. But I just heard from them, from Ernie through to Sam to Ernie.
Yeah, I knew it was
tonight when he
imminent,
called
yeah.
me, so.
Great.
Number 7 is the purchase of a small dump truck for the Highway Department, and Recreation has replaced the septic system up at Camp Kawani.
Did we get prices on the septic system estimate, do you know? That seems cheap. 75,000?
75,000.
No, we'd be well within that. For one system, not necessarily 2, but for the one system, we would be. We're about to award the engineering contract probably as of next week, and then we'll have all that designed. To the preliminaries, those numbers look good.
Thank you.
Did we do an RFP for the engineering design?
No,
We did
no.
request bids or anything on that?
We are getting bids on it, yes, but Board of Health didn't feel that it was a wise idea to do RFPs, that it would just complicate the whole thing. But we have solicited bids.
Article number 12.
I move the town vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds $99,738 to capital accounts for the following Hanson Regional High School items. And it lists 1, repair the tennis courts. 2 is repair the walkways in front of the main gym entrance in the front entrance to the building. And the bleacher chairlift is not operable. But under ADA, it has to be repaired so you can get up into the bleachers if you have someone that's in a wheelchair or that's handicapped. So that's the portion. This is the Hanson-only portion of those 3 things. There is a Whitman portion also.
If it's not passed by both towns, it doesn't happen.
I'm sorry, Jim, we
If
couldn't.
it's not passed by both towns, then it doesn't happen on none of these items. It has
That's,
to be both towns to approve, right?
that's
To occur?
I would assume so, but that's a whole nother issue that we'll have to deal with afterwards. Again, these are items that are singled out to do with the regional school district, so it needs both towns' approval.
Can I ask a quick point? Can you use on the replace bleacher chairlift as this part of the ADA for the open space meeting information? You know the ADA requirements that we had on open space? Can we use this? Can we indicate this if it passes or no?
Well, that's for open space parcels, isn't this for the school?
Yeah, it is, but it's under ADA requirements, Bob said.
Yeah,
no?
but, I don't think it had any impact on our
It
open
wouldn't have any
space
impact, you
area.
can't add to it, okay. Sorry, somebody.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify one thing for Mary. In regards to the RFP, there would be an RFP for the construction, and this is just for the design end of it, which is not that much money.
Article 13.
Me? Yeah, it's me. I move the town to authorize the Board of Selectmen to accept and enter into a contract for the expenditure of any allocated or to be allocated funds by the Commonwealth and/or county for the construction, reconstruction, improvements of town roads. Said some money to be expended under the direction of the Board of Selectmen.
This is the Chapter 90 money that we vote annually.
Article 14. Board of Assessors.
Article 14,
see if the town will vote to appropriate from overlay surplus the sum of $45,000 to fund the FY 2018 and 2019 interim year adjustments in the fiscal 2020 triennial recertification of the town's real estate and personal property values as required by Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 797, the Acts of 1979.
And you said I moved that, right? Isn't that what you said? I heard you say that,
Oh,
right?
yes, thank you. You're hearing it.
And I'm sure Beth will hear it on Monday as well, right?
Article 15.
I move that the town vote to appropriate or reserve $15,000 from the undesignated Community Preservation Fund balance for the purpose of hiring a consultant to prepare a community preservation plan for the Community Preservation Committee.
Article 16.
I move the town vote to transfer $45,000 from free cash to be used to advance the McLaurin Street Route 14 reconstruction project from the project need form PNF stage of the project initiative form PIF stage and through the project review committee PRC review. This is for the reconstruction of McLaurin Street to the Pembroke line, which will include sidewalks widening the road and a bike path.
Quick question. I didn't include the amount in the article. Is that critical?
I included it in the motion.
Oh, okay, but it's not in the article here?
No, it won't be, it doesn't have to be in the article, but what, it's based on
As long as
how
it's
we
in the
move it.
motion?
So when I move the 45,000, that's where it comes from.
Yeah, as long as it's at a sum of money, you're good.
Yeah.
Article 17.
I move the town vote to transfer $500,000 from water surplus to be added to the funds appropriated under Article 23 of the May 4th, 2015 annual town meeting for additional water exploration.
Article 18.
I move the town vote to transfer $75,000 from water surplus to be added to the funds appropriated under Article 16 water meters of the October 6, 1997 special town meeting for the purpose of purchasing new water meters and related equipment for the water department.
Article 19.
I move the town vote to rescind Article 24 of the May 15, 2015 annual town meeting and further to vote to raise through borrowing $1,300,000 for the installation of new water mains on various streets throughout the town. This is a housekeeping matter. The town actually voted this article last year, but because we did not have this particular amount on the capital improvement matrix, and when bonding council was doing the due diligence, notice it wasn't there, they required us to revote it. So that's why it's being revoted.
And that requires a 2/3 vote, right?
And it's borrowing.
Yes,
Yep.
yep, it says under the explanation.
Article 20. I move that the town vote to name the intersection of Winter and Liberty Street in the honor of John Ferry. Explanation, John died on December 2015 at the age of 92. He was a highly decorated veteran who served his country in World War II and spent his life in Hanson, running his business and giving back to the town. We'd like to honor John's military service and citizenship by dedicating a memorial square in his memory. Article 21. I move that the town vote to transfer $2,000 from free cash to provide a marker for the memorial square. Explanation, if the preceding article is approved, these funds will be used to purchase an appropriate marker to fund the expense associated with the dedication, estimated amount $2,000. Article 22.
Article 22, I move to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 22 through 22E, and also to include Clause 22F.
Article 23.
I move the town vote to place the Smith-Yanazowski Conservation Area, Assessors Map 20, Parcel 1-1, under the care and custody of the Conservation Commission for the purpose of wildlife, recreation, and forestry. And that'll be moved by Bill Clemens.
Article 24, I move the town,
Oh, I'm sorry, that's 2/3.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I move the town vote to reauthorize the following revolving accounts pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, as printed in the warrant.
This is an annual article we do. The only change to this particular one is under the Conservation Commission wetland fees. We added additional types of expenses that the funds could be used for.
Okay. Article,
And that's it.
Article 25.
Yes, I'll move Article 25, and hopefully it'll all go as quickly as it did tonight. I'm sure it will.
Give it take a minute or two.
What's the worst that can happen?
Hopefully it'll take long to get a quorum.
I don't think a quorum's gonna be an issue.
Okay, and that wraps up the pre-town meeting. Thank you all for attending.
Should address the T-shirt issue.
Oh,
Do you want to do that?
oh, you can do it. You can want to ask Sean?
Yeah.
Sean?
Yes, I can do.
He's got a question.
Just
for
for
you.
clarification, you know how when, you know, as we voted to put this on the warrant as far as this override and
Yes,
all
I do.
that, I've got concerns that there's all sorts of ads out there for people buying T-shirts. Are those going to be allowed in the town meeting? I mean, in the order to not disrupt what's going, I mean, everybody has a right to vote, when I'm sure we all
A
Yeah.
will.
couple times. So whenever you make a motion, you want to
See,
make
I've
sure.
got to do a little bit of research on that. I don't think under the First Amendment, I can tell
Remind me
people
the
what
night
to
to-
wear.
No, I agree, but if it's a political issue that they're supporting on
Yeah, it's easier, I know.
a,
Even if it's political,
I understand.
at a town meeting?
At a
Okay, I
town
know if you go to the
Yeah,
polls,
if you
you're
go to the
restricted
polls,
to
it
a
would be
certain
different,
area.
but I do
Yeah.
believe it would be
Kenny says
different with
And they're
some-
entitled to their support, I'm not knocking
Yeah.
that whatsoever, but I
No,
just don't want to have it turn into a circus, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do my
Lori,
own research as
thank
well.
you for
I talked to
doing
Gene
So
in
you
the
know
clerk's
the ADA
office a bit
stuff, because
about
we
it
didn't
as
have a
well.
town administrator for a while, right?
I think
know we haven't done much.
when, you know, if there's a
I was
difference
hoping-
between a button
I didn't know if we could
or
add
a
that
shirt,
particular
I
item, that,
don't think I can do that.
and the bike
But
lanes. and-
again, I'll be checking.
We kind of missed
But that's
those
not
pink
ADA
shirts
stuff,
last year. I thought it was
But at
in
least
support
we
of
did
breast
share it.
cancer, until we started reading they were in support of an article that came before us. That's what we thought.
we doing?
I didn't even, you know, the lights didn't go
Yeah,
on.
you know, and I think where I would draw the
Okay,
line
that's a
is
great idea. I
to
didn't
disrupt
think
it to the proceedings. So if somebody was actively electioneering in the room while we were trying to discuss something,
That's a
I
great
could be
idea.
strict.
And we can even say this, and we can
But
say the
something
chairman.
packaged
Can we say
like
the
a
chairman?
t-shirt, I'm pretty sure I can. But I'm sure the Supreme Court will
It's
tell you.
it's just like the pink shirted girls last year.
Yeah,
For the article, I am Article 25 or whatever it said.
right. And I
Yeah,
don't think
like I
it's
said, it
going
doesn't
to
apply.
saying that.
Yeah, right.
But I'll be checking.
Just a thought, anyway.
Yeah.
And I would certainly not
It's
deny
almost,
anyone's
it's
right
almost the
to.
same as the campaign finance laws when they differentiate what you can do at a
But I
town meeting.
highlighted certain
And when you
sections I
cross the
thought
line into a ballot
that I thought
question,
maybe should be
okay, before the, you
couple
can do whatever you want to influence a ballot at the town meeting, but you can't do the same thing as your ballot question. When it comes to employees and
But then
everything,
you'll know where
school
I've changed.
departments,
Yeah.
because
And then you can
it's
say,
a
yes,
fine
it
line
applies
that
and
they
it doesn't
walk
apply.
if they're trying to promote.
We're still live recording here, whoever taking a recess, I mean.
Yeah.
Still on the air.
Still recording it.
Okay.
Not that we're saying
Yeah, I
it's
thought
wrong.
that too.
Thank you for that.
Thank you
I
for
saw some
the
cleanup things.
the good review.
Yes. Okay.
Challenge us, but just in case.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'll find out. I think he told me, I think it was maybe after town meeting, I think he said.
Okay.
But I'll find out. Thanks again. You too.
In the past, the town administrators made a statement.
Oh, right.
Talking about.
The budget. No.
Okay, moving on.
But I will.
Let Mary time.
What, Mary, what?
Just give Mary some time, so.
I'm ready.
You all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Began requested this on the agenda, I believe.
Yeah.
Further discussion regarding Bluegrass and the Bogs Festival contract. We did get some information from town council regarding some recommendations on that festival.
And this, Mary, this was just received, what, today?
Yes.
At
yes,
3:50, so obviously-
Actually, she was, Sarah was on vacation last week, so she managed to put this together, you know, in very short order. So I just kind of outlined some of the issues. If you, and I know no one's had an opportunity to read it.
Right.
If you want to take this back, review it, and we can discuss it at the next meeting. And,
The concern I had, though, was that I'm assuming, and that we can forward a copy of this, obviously, to the rec department, Dave.
Yep.
Right? Mary, would that be right? He'd get a copy of this? Rec department will? Later tonight, or no?
I can give you my
Did you say
copy.
you got some?
I have not.
You can
Okay,
have-
all right.
You can have my copy.
But these were, do you want me to read this? Or no?
Yeah, go ahead.
It says, so, Sarah Bellino, is that how you pronounce it, I think?
Bellino.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Nicole at Camp Kawani this morning, got some additional details about the camp. And she had drafted a use agreement that I highly recommend the town use for the upcoming music festival scheduled for May 20 through May 22nd. In it, there are 4 items, which the first one states, I've listed below further concerns that the town should address prior to the event. Public safety. Town should require Hanson police detail during all 3 days and nights of the festival to ensure safety of attendees and to enforce compliance with the no alcohol policy of the camp. Private security company may be substituted if they're insured, bonded, and approved by the Hanson Chief of Police. OTP rental application is missing guest and vehicle registration information. The application notes that no overnight guests are allowed, which means only those people who are listed in the application may be staying overnight. Under general law, Chapter 140, Section 27 requires a register to be kept with names of anyone staying overnight at any recreation camp, overnight camp, or cabin. Item 2 was recreational vehicles. The Camp Kawani prohibits the use of recreational vehicles. OTP has published the availability of RV sites on the event website. The camp has no designated areas for RVs, thus no provisions for hookups or dump stations for sewage waste disposal. Please note that OTP's insurance does not cover property damage resulting from pollution, which includes waste. Item 3, liability insurance, as noted in the email from the town's insurance representative. OTP's insurance does not cover the town's liability to those attendees who have bought tickets and rented cabins, tent space, RV space directly from OTP. The rental agreement attached adds language to address that the town shall have no liability for the guests and attendees and that OTP accepts full responsibility. The policy has no liquor liability coverage. If OTP has alcohol provided through the town's contracted concessioner, the concessioner will have the necessary insurance. If attendees bring in their own alcohol, and they will, there is no coverage for that. Sanitation, the camp has 3 toilet facilities, a restaurant, lodge, and bath houses at the sun and north ends of the camp. OTP does not appear to be renting the lodge for the event. Thus, it would seem that the event will have only 2 toilet facilities. For those camping in the tents on the baseball field, a portable toilet should be provided by the OTP. Additional trash barrels throughout to accommodate garbage and food from vendors. Board of Health can require food trucks to provide these as part of their licenses. And then she sums it up by saying, as discussed, I have serious concerns about the town permitting the use of the camp for this event without addressing these issues and requiring OTP to sign the attached agreement. And the attached agreement is a new and updated one, and I believe it has the indemnification clause. It should.
Yeah, here it is right here. Page 3.
For 11.
Number 11 on page 3.
Number 11. And it's about a page and a half, so I'm not gonna read it. But my assumption is that you're probably gonna have to look this over, Dave, and
Has this been sent to Mike as well? for
I don't believe
bluegrass?
so, no.
We haven't sent it to anybody, you just gave it to the board today, we didn't get it till 4 o'clock today, so we wanted them to have a chance to.
I think a lot's been dealt with already. He has been in touch with the police department and Mike. We have set up they will have details there every day.
Yeah.
So they've addressed that. They're rewriting the insurance policy currently to add in whatever, and I'm sure whatever language needs to be done for the contract and that stuff that they'd be more than willing to certainly address and go along with.
So I take it you might want to take this back to your board and review with your board?
Yeah, we have a meeting Thursday night, so, yeah, absolutely.
And then,
Sure.
and then what will we do, regroup to meet on some of these items?
Put it on next. When is this scheduled for?
May 20th?
And in regards to, the sanitary facilities, we also have the Cove as well, so that's a third, not two, that we have available. And they are providing portable toilets and stuff too, so those will be distributed throughout wherever necessary.
You may need to, on the rec vehicles, Dave, I know that the board voted for it, but when I looked at the policies and controls, I didn't see anything on there that allowed the board to override that rule. You know what I'm saying? So I would ask that maybe you take that back and see if they can review that, the RVs.
If the board can review that.
Yes. And take into account what's being mentioned here
Yeah.
on this, okay?
Yep. And, the other thing is that, recreational vehicles are also, the quads and stuff, which we have what is considered a recreational vehicle on the property that is part of what we do for work,
Yeah,
So
clean up and
it's
stuff.
kind of a broad statement, recreational vehicles. Bluegrass on the Bog will have one or two there as well that their security people are driving around in.
I think for all intents and purposes, they probably mean the ones that have campers.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And,
But obviously
and like I
once-
say, this has been 3 years now that we've had the policy. We've never had an issue. We've kept a tight grasp on everything, and we have not had a single incident.
Well, I'm guessing that they have that rule there for a reason. You know, in the places.
Anything else?
Can-
I agree with Jim 100%. Under grounds, under the policies, number 12, it says no recreational vehicles. I don't think we should have RVs up there. I mean, it's clearly in the policy. If you guys have a four-wheeler, then maybe that policy maybe needs to be adjusted to allow that four-wheeler, but RVs, it clearly says right here, they shouldn't be allowed, so I don't think we should have them at all.
But don't have the ability to make an exception?
Only if you'd have to amend the rules and regulations. How does that happen? How do you do that, Mary?
They have to run it by the board, if they're making changing their policies and procedures, if the board.
I think you should stick to the policy that's in place before you change
The
anything.
the reason that the procedure has been in place is that the Recreation Commission has no means of monitoring and, we don't have permanent staff on board to bring them in.
Yeah.
Now, this is an event that there is staff there that is running it. They can deal with it, and, there's bands that, that's how they drive around the
Oh, yeah,
country.
right, that's how
They're
they-
driving 1,000 miles, 600 miles away. They have an RV, that's how they go from spot to spot.
So who's in the RVs? So it's not people? is it-
Most of it is going to be the actual entertainment.
The bands, yeah.
There is going to be, there may be a few, and they've limited it.
You've seen these groups that drive all
They put
over
a
the
stiff
country.
limit on how many.
I thought they were renting the cabins, though. I wasn't clear.
No, they-
If you look at their website, they're renting the spots.
They rent a few spots for RVs for the people who need the RVs, but for the most part, they're renting cabins. People who come to the festival are renting cabins or tent space.
So are they
First
just,
of all, there's not enough locations
Right.
to put many in.
Yeah.
We're on a ridge.
Yeah,
That there's just not that many level areas or areas you can drive to. So there are not many that are there. And again, mostly it is to provide for the bands, the entertainment that are coming.
So these, I'm sorry, so these people, they drive in with their RV and they're renting a cabin and they're just using it there to park?
No, the
No.
ones that have the RVs are staying in there, but
Those are mostly the groups.
Yeah, but I
It
thought the
doesn't
groups
matter,
are also
though. It's in
renting.
the policies. You're not supposed to have RVs. It doesn't matter if it's a group.
No, but
It's-
I'm
it's in the
saying this is
policy.
this is the bands that are coming in, right?
Well, we should get a number on that. Go to the bands and find out how many RVs are
That would
coming.
that would be the prime motivation for adjusting your policy, that your policy is in place unless there is sufficient, the group that's gonna rent the campground has sufficient people there to monitor those RVs. I mean, that would be the only time you could make an exception there. But that would be something you'd have to write into the rules and regs.
but that's something that
Oh, no, I'm good.
that's something that we could do at our next meeting, and then it would have to go before the board.
Sure.
Because in here on item 12, you say no RVs. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but as I go through this, there's nothing in here saying that the board has the right to override anything. You get what I mean?
Oh, no, I understand that it's not stated.
In here, that you have the right to override it, that anybody has to override it, actually. You know what I mean? So that's why.
You
Well,
gave-
the
you
board
gave me
is
the
the
reason.
ones who make the policies and procedures. You know, obviously, they have to be approved by the selectmen, so just by that, I would think we have the right to amend the policies and procedures to allow for
You
that.
just told me
as long-
why, you just explained to me why you have the RV, the RV ban in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would need to adjust that in order to change it for groups that do have sufficient coverage in order to monitor the use of those RVs. That's the only
Or-
time you would be able to make an exception to it.
Yeah, or just put it at the discretion of the Recreation Commission, we can
Override.
override this policy, you know, not necessarily defining it exactly, but, you know, just we have the ability to do that for
Well,
special events.
You'd want to try to define it as close as
close as you
possible,
can,
without
sure.
without limiting yourself totally.
Yeah.
Laura?
I actually think, I understand what you guys are saying, but there are Board of Health regulations and building code regulations, which the Recreation Commission cannot vote to override. So as long as having recreational vehicles there is in compliance with all other code, then yes, they should have the latitude to override it, but I would submit to you that I don't think that's the case, and I believe that's probably, if we look historically at why recreational vehicles aren't allowed there, that's probably why, because it's probably in contravention to Board of Health regulations, and I believe when Jim read the letter from Town Council, there was some reference to, I don't know, Jim, because I didn't have it in front of me, but
Is that what it
I thought
says?
you might have said something along those lines.
It says under liability insurance that the RVs are not covered under insurance. It says it right there in section 3, liability insurance. And I realize he hasn't had a chance to look at this, so.
Right, and if that needs to be added into a policy, then it needs to be. But just to let you know, I've met with the Board of Health, and the Board of Health is
okay.
we're on board, and they're fine.
Yeah, see, there's no provisions for hookups for dumps, or dump stations for sewage disposal.
Right, which we know, so everything is
So
self-contained.
you have to monitor them and make sure they're not dumping the stuff someplace where they're not supposed to be dumping it, but you need sufficient staff on board to monitor that, which was the point I was trying to make,
Right.
you know? It isn't that they're, you know, that you have to comply with the Board of Health issues, that nobody's dumping it down in the lake, or
So, no,
dumping it out in the woods somewhere.
We've met with the Board of Health, we've discussed it, and, you know, we're all on board, and everybody's, there's no building regulation.
No, I know, but it is, you know, that is close to Smitty's bog, so we would want to make sure that people are doing the right, you know, that people are doing the right
Oh,
thing.
sure, but, you know,
Yeah.
and where these are parked, believe me, that if anybody was dumping anything, everybody would know. These are not in isolated spots. This is right on the Kiwanee Road that these vehicles are going to be, or 20 feet off of it. They're not tucked back in the woods, you can't get them there.
I really don't like to contemplate the possibilities.
Oh, no,
It's just-
believe me.
It's too much.
How many RVs are we talking about, do you know?
I think we may be talking 15 to 20 tops,
I think last year there were only about 5 or 6.
was it?
Yeah, there were very few last year. Yeah, I think there were only about.
I think they need to
5 or 6.
get a
It looks
number
like-
and find out, because it's a problem.
Problem in the sense of,
They shouldn't be there. Right here, line 12 in your policies. It says they
well,
shouldn't be there.
again, if we can deal with that, we can deal with that. I'm hoping you folks would be amiable to it.
I'd make a recommendation, so on Thursday when you meet with your board,
Mhm.
that you make a modification, item number 16 on that.
Yep.
Saying that the board can do that, okay? These, I had a quick question on the rental cabin agreements.
Mhm.
Are we doing one agreement? Or are we doing, we should have 37 going to each person renting those cabins, correct?
I'm sorry, could you say that?
So we've got 37 cabins being rented?
Um,
Is that correct?
approximately.
All right, say 35, whatever. So
What was the
is it
recommendation?
one rental
in here?
agreement going to each person renting them, right?
Each cabin.
Each cabin?
Yeah.
So we'll have a total of 37, how many ever cabins we have? I thought we had 37.
Those rental agreements are through the Bluegrass on the Bog.
We lease to them, then they sublease.
But they sign a rental.
They sign the rental agreement, yes.
They signed the rental agreement for all 37.
There'll be a rental agreement signed for every.
They
cabin.
sign one agreement and they sub out the 37 to other people.
Yeah, but you still, I
No,
still,
they still have to sign the
That's what
agreement
Jim's
with the
asking.
indemnification and all that.
each one, each
Yes.
person going into every cabin, right? So
Each
essentially,
cabin rental,
each cabin rental will have its own contract.
yes.
Pretty much, right? That's what I want to make sure.
With
because-
us,
With the town,
with
Yes.
the town, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because that would, each one of those rental agreements has its separate indemnification, which means each one of those renters that are coming into the separate cabins would sign that rental agreement, which would include the indemnification. That's what you're talking about, right?
Right, I want to make sure that we have
Yep.
37 of them for the town, right?
But then does the Bluegrass gentleman also have an agreement with us that he can sublease those cabins?
Well, they're the ones that are collecting the money
Right, that's why
and
I'm
doing the
asking.
paperwork,
Yeah.
basically, so.
That's a separate contract.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's a whole separate
Yes.
contract.
Okay, so we want to make sure everything ticks and ties in terms of indemnification, money,
Yeah,
contracts.
exactly. That's what he's talking about, because if you,
Yeah.
if you don't have the indemnification on the individual people that are checking into the cabins, but you have it on the other guy,
Right.
It's
now
no good to
you want
us.
double coverage, because you don't want to, if he's, sure, he can be responsible for all of those people, all right?
Town of Lyme.
You,
We never want to be
Right,
a deep
we
pocket
need to
there.
be-
Yeah.
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 You still need deep pockets, because any one of those other people who don't take the town off the hook can turn around and sue the
Right.
town.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my guess is, I know that they had, I think Bluegrass had a deadline of May 1st, and they're all booked, right? All the time. But we'll need these obviously before the event occurs, which is May 20th, or is that the 21st?
I believe the 20th is a Friday night, is that correct?
Yeah,
What, those things signed right there?
yes, the new agreements.
I know agreement, yeah.
I know, Chief Mix, I know you just got here, but our town council's requesting,
No, he's been here for a while.
did you hear me say this or not? I didn't.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been here since the start.
Have you? I'm sorry.
It's nice to
Sorry.
be not noticed.
That could be a good thing
Have you lost
sometimes.
weight, Mike? I couldn't see you back there.
Fortunately, no. Thank you.
So, again, I don't think you saw this yet, Mike. A private security company may be substituted if they're insured, bonded, and approved by Hanson Chief of Police, but town council is recommending that police detail be there for the days and nights of the festival. I don't know about the nights, I don't know, overnight.
I met last Thursday with Mr. Foster for about 2 hours, and we went over a number of things. As far as as far as security goes, they're not trained, bonded, insured. However, discussing with him the role of a number of his, I don't know if they're volunteers or he pays them, they're really, for lack of a better term, they're like parking attendants. They're gonna handle some of the control as far as parking the vehicles and the exiting of the vehicles. I don't have any real concern with them doing that in the camp, and I was informed that they have some tentative agreement with the Rainbow Camp as an overflow. Mr. Foster's provided me with a traffic plan and a parking plan for both areas with the estimate of the number of vehicles that can be fit into each one. After having a discussion with him on that, I expressed my concern about a detail officer being up at least on Indian Head Street. The other thing we discussed was the estimated number of attendees. He's estimating about 1,000 people. He has control over some of the pre-sale of the tickets, which would then be would allow him to limit sales at the gate. His estimates go for 250 on the Friday. The bands would be playing from 6:30 to 11:30. I have some concern with the hours, which maybe you can tell me the historical, Dave. We didn't have any complaints from neighbors. There's nothing logged of any complaints for noise or anything, so I'm not overly concerned, but I just felt that 11 o'clock or a little earlier would be a better time to kind of wrap it up. I don't know what time they were finishing last year.
As far as I know, it was the same, and it's amazing when they don't play loud. It's not
No,
like
where
a
the stage is
concert,
set
so
and
you literally walk up to the north end of the camp and you don't hear it. It's amazing how little it carries.
so just a consideration that I didn't hear you bring up is the time. If you want to limit the times, I'll work around it. Estimated crowds on the Friday, May 20th, 250. On May 21st would be between 500 and 600 people throughout the day. That goes from 10 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. On May 22nd, you have 250 people. It goes from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Given the numbers on the Friday and the Sunday, that's about what we have in a large wedding up there.
Okay.
And we don't usually require a detail. As a matter of fact, in 3 years, we've had one detail up there for one wedding. I was more concerned about entrance and exit of vehicles with a detail officer. Mr. Foster agreed. On the 21st, we had a discussion of about, I would feel much more comfortable with 3 officers given the size of the crowd. 1 to control traffic, switch them off, and 2 to be inside to deal with.
What day was that, Mike?
Saturday, May 21st.
Okay.
Mr. Foster and I agreed we'd have a further discussion on how we break those details up time-wise. Again, I had a big concern with the alcohol issue. He agreed he would put up notice, and he agreed that if the officers found anybody consuming alcohol, we'd remove them. Their ticket would be revoked, they'd be removed. If they got a cabin or whatever they got, that's too bad, they can go. And as we got closer, in fairness to Mr. Foster, I realized that if you have a really bad day, weather-wise, on May 21st, that crowd could be substantially less. He and I had a discussion about how we could adjust the detail offices as we got closer to that. The same, we had also discussed if the pre-sales go higher, that 1-3-1, as I have for the 3 days, could be increased.
Where do those bands that play? They play outside or in the pavilion?
They're inside.
Inside.
I'm sorry, they're under a tent, but
They're under a big tent?
if it were, and the entire audience is outside, so.
They're under a tent, though.
Yeah, they do use the pavilion as well, but that's like for smaller
Oh, sure.
seminars and things like that they do. But that's the main event, is right there.
Mike, how many officers on Friday? I missed that, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, sir, what was the question?
How many officers, detail officers on Friday?
1, based on his estimate of 250. On Friday and on Sunday, they estimate 250. And as he's told me, he'll have a good idea of how many will be there based on the sale of the tickets.
Okay.
So like I said, as we get closer, that can go up. I don't see it going down. And again, that Saturday, based on weather and ticket sales, we'll adjust it. In my former employment with Carver, we had King Richard's Fair. I had 10,000 people go
Oh,
through
yeah.
there in a day, and they had alcohol. And we had agreements to shrink or grow based on the crowds and the ticket sales. It's not a difficult thing to follow, so. Mr. Foster was very cooperative and forthcoming on everything. Again, my big thing is, and this is even going further down the road, that the rec committee has to address any unauthorized alcohol consumption, not only at this event, but others.
Thanks, Mike.
Chief, was there any discussion of having overnight details? That was one of the things that I believe Sarah brought up, and so did the insurance company.
Overnight? No, I did not discuss overnight with him, as we haven't had detail officers there overnight in the past. And I've only been privy to that letter that Mr. McGann read when he read it. So I can review that and we can have another discussion with him. A suggestion I've had to go to the rec committee and to others already is that they work on some type of overnight host employed by the town to help monitor. But obviously we can work on overnight details if that's something that we need to do.
I'll take the job. I'm looking for a part-time job. Okay.
Bruce, real
Yeah.
quick, just so for me, the insurance, as long as they have the proper insurance that protects the town, the
Yeah.
detail cop sounds like that's
Right.
good.
Yeah.
And then just working out this RV thing.
Yeah.
And that'd be
That'll be
fine,
good, yeah.
moving forward with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Dave, do you know if they're gonna have a portable toilet there? In addition, they will?
Yeah,
They will,
they'll
yeah.
they'll have probably 20 portable toilets. And like I said,
20
I've gone-
porta potties.
Porta potties,
I've,
okay.
I've, again, gone over this with Board of Health because Rich brought up concerns with them as well. So, no, last year, had them all over the place.
And they've got additional.
We were also set up that if we needed to do any pumping during the weekend, we've got our pumping service lined up in case there was an incident that way.
One more thing. When they sign, Dave, when you get them to sign the new use agreement, can you submit all the cabin rental agreements as well?
They may not have all of those until the day of. I don't know if they're all pre-rented or not, but I can check with Mike and.
Okay, maybe what he has.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And is there a problem if people are signing them as they check in at the town Hanson applications?
As long as they sign.
As long as they're signed on the date that they
Make
check
sure you
in?
have them all.
Before they go in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Because some of them are coming out of town, I imagine that's what, right?
Yeah, and not, actually, you know what, for the most part, I don't know if they'll all be signed before they get there. People reserve them
Yeah.
in advance, but obviously, they can't actually sign them until they get to the facility.
Right.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say, not to throw a monkey wrench, but nowadays,
please don't.
with electronic, it's pretty easy to have people sign it, PDF it, and then attach it and do it all in advance. It is pretty easy to do it. If Mike were able to put it out on his website and just encourage people to do it in advance, and it might actually make things far less complicated the
Of
day of the
course.
event.
And they may be doing it
Yeah.
already, for
Yeah.
all I know. I just don't know.
So when you put a deposit down, Laura, they email you a copy, is that what you're saying?
And say, we need to have this in advance. I mean, I know if you guys have rented cabins or done camping or whatever, usually they do require that ahead of time, so that they've got your contact info and, they know all that,
Unless they're like my friend Donnie Howard. But yeah, it has to be PDF form, obviously, it's not a Word document or else people can change
I don't think John's going, Jim, so we should be all right.
And you guys obviously have additional trash barrels throughout?
Oh, yeah.
There are trash barrels all over.
And believe me, these people, when they leave, literally 2 hours after the event is done, you wouldn't know anybody had ever been there. It's amazing. You pull in, it's like, there was just that many people here and nothing.
Yeah, because they want to come back.
Yeah, and it's just,
That's the kind of.
the average age is 50 something. It's not a raucous, rowdy crowd. This is just good people.
Well, so it's old people.
Yeah. How old are you? You're not even that old, are you? What are you, 40s?
I'm in bed by 9:30, so it doesn't matter, I'm sorry. But this is good, and Mike, can you make sure you say thank you to Sarah and Jay? This is a good email she sent. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. You all set with this now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, access license, Mary, on,
This is for the radio tower. Wanted to bring it back. Jay had sent us a license to use that gives the radio club and the ability to go to the site and assess the feasibility of actually using the tower.
oh, okay.
So you'll have an opportunity to look at that. Mr. Vest called earlier in the day and said he wasn't gonna be able to make it tonight, so the board will have time to review the license that he's proposing. And then we can address that at our next meeting.
Can we, can you send Mr. Vest a copy of this?
Yes.
He did? I'm sure he did, Mary. I thought I'd just say it out loud. I thought I'd just say it out lound. I'm sure you did.
Yes.
What, send Mr. Vest a copy?
Yes.
I wanted the board to look at it first to see if they had any changes before I
Gotcha.
sent it to him.
I must have got two.
All right, one-day liquor license for,
Okay.
Lisa Snow, Quincy's, for Saturday, May 7th, at 6 PM to 11 PM, a wedding. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous vote. Committee reports. Dawn's not here for the Montponset Pond Committee. I have nothing to report on the Indian Head and Laquan Priority Repair Committee. Highway Building Committee.
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman.
And the final Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee, Dawn is not here, so we got a clean slate on that one.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.